Sa fel Gaelach atá fíor gúil riamh Pete McGrath, agus is í sprag is a bhúnlaigh gach cinne a dhéann le líng a héil.
It maybe becomes that thread that runs through your life that holds so many other things together.
You cut him open, he's red and black, and he's a down man to the absolute core.
Ach bevoorden chun toer de bhain le bheith pléiles an sport a bounce leis le lína driblóidí.
Sometimes soldiers maybe got you out and examined bags and that type of thing.
Virginia got our skull agus style go Loachra file wash mayal and a ruddy a chred sheet onto. There was a time when there was threats put out that they were going to shoot Gaelic footballers.
Ach na nóchadí bhí láimhigh Pete sa chúige fad a ein tú taobh hir da éireann.
Bhris an dún an bac seo agus bhí stair nua scrífa bhí an dóianta inanta.
Maybe those things resonated in a positive way to make even a marginal difference in getting something over the line that was infinitely more important than football.
And away they go now, the Arcane Boys Band and Kerry and Down. Kerry bidding for their 21st All-Ireland senior title, Down bidding for their third. Kerry steeped in the great tradition of the past, Down the makers of tradition in the 60s.
It was probably the 1968 All-Ireland win by Down that maybe, as I say, gave me that real passion and desire to play football at the highest level and to be as good as it could be at it. Those were the early memories and the early experiences, if you like, that maybe infused me with a love of Gaelic football and a passion for it.
In meile áil in Ross Trower a rugach agus a tógach Pete McGrath, fearmeach clú agus cáilir, ach marach marsmaintóireach de cheanahar, seans go mbeadh scéal Pete anna i friúil.
My father actually came from Scotland, from Glasgow. He came to Rostrevor in 1937, was returning home, met my mother here, was returning to Glasgow in 1939 just after the outbreak of the Second World War. And he was actually met as the boat docked in Glasgow by his father, my granda, who gave him the money to get back on the boat. Because he says, you're going back to Ireland because his older brother John had been conscripted into the army for the war effort, and Granda didn't want that to happen to Daddy, so he was sent back to Ireland. I was physically born in the house. There was a very, very good district nurse, Nurse Logan, and she was very adept at delivering babies. So there was no need for me to be delivered in Daisy Hill Hospital in Newry. It happened right behind where I'm speaking here.
Down are attacking.
Dírig Peter Ashlingy no de dimmerse le manúr agus le síintún chuntaid, ach credan sé greibh níos mó an mar a miróir.
That ball, they'll be quite happy. To Peter McGrath. Peter McGrath are down.
I just feel that as a player who was 5'7" and quite slight at the time, that maybe people in charge of county teams felt that this man just isn't suited ideally for county football, so it sort of came to an end. That's maybe one of the regrets that I have in my career in football generally, that maybe my career as an inter-county footballer didn't maybe extend further into my life. I think it should have maybe extended a wee bit further.
Ach níor chuir a de Bachart Pete le na club Ross Trower, agus ba imreoir lárnacha a bhfuir na hogaí gar a buinte a gluithe ceannis na chuntaid in 1976.
This was a local seaside derby, the first time ever the two sides had met in a match of any real significance, and we won, and that was our first ever senior title. It remains one of the highlights of my career in football generally.
Haring Pete ard fele herhain, Tishker immershe Pale Gaelach, a Duishkert na Heron.
Phoenix more guest, look come Loachra Gael o hui a goni, na nakla here wine. Fi Shimbalahas, August Jarku, Nashanak on a goni, August Dardy Shishin, a Rikna Trublogy.
There would have been interference occasionally at going to matches, army checkpoints, and in some cases they were maybe overzealous in what they were wanting to do, get people out of the car. And I can remember, for example, more than once our manager saying something, okay, like, we need you there for 6:30, so make allowance for the possibility of checkpoints and roadblocks. So you factored that in. It was just there and you dealt with it.
Tá boiger le ina chrí ag Pete le cláiste chulmáin san uair, mar gomráinse gur bhúnlaise mar rinne.
Well, St. Coleman's College certainly played a major part in what I became as a person in Gaelic games, or as a person generally. I went to school there from 1965 to 1972. Then when I went back to teaching the college, I left there in 1972. I was back teaching in 1978, looking after McCrory teams and Ranafast teams for the next 27, 28 years.
Ach bhún Pete a bhad níos mó an curriculum das na daltaí.
There was a lot going on in the north of Ireland at that stage, with the troubles and the different directions in which young fellas could have been pulled. The school, as an institution, if you like, tried to channel young men and guide them and cajole them in the right direction.
Bhí meise ag an scoil Harlan style kind of ocras agus bhí Pete anta táhachtach dom ag an am sin ag towards cóirlia dúin fanach leis an fel ag gcónaí fan leis an fel fan le cumann Loachra Gael a Virginia gal ar scoil agus style cóirí ocras ag fáil wash agus Dini Óga Jay Agori Dini ag fáil wash maiall ar na rudí a chreid siad ontu agus egoni Pete McGrath on marine shaswach ag torch jurdich ag torch corliadich agus vi sin inte táhachtach doing ag an amsin.
Bhí anna rathair de trenáil fór na scoile agus níor bhada gur iarachar Pete fuair an bhiniúil chunta a hógant. Agus an 1987 bhain idir chluthe ceannis na Héireann amach.
At senior level down, we're going through a barren of time in the 80s. Then the whole county received the minor success with a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of jubilation. But you just knew that yes, this could be, this All-Ireland minor title maybe might be the kickstart that the county might need generally to get back on the senior stage.
There's one man who won this cup for today. With all of Ireland for the time and hard work that they put into the team. There's a reminder to Pete McGrath.
In 1989, bhí bainisteoir de dhí ar an hínsear an dúin, ach bachasúil nar bhín posta tastáile uinge.
It came as far as September, and Down still hadn't got a manager.
And I think basically they were left with very few choices, and he became the front runner.
If there's any truth to the rumour, then Pete was about 15th, 16th or 100th down the list.
I got a phone call then from the late TP Murphy, was county secretary, and TP said to me, would I consider becoming part of a management team? The next day I get back to TP and says, no TP, no, I'm not really interested in that at the moment. I'm not interested in being part of a management team. I think if there's going to be a management team, there has to be a manager. I would be very interested in talking to them about managing the team. He said, right, okay, you want the job? We'll chat it. He says, you've got it. That's how quickly, if you like, the arrangement was made.
There probably was a wee bit of surprise because he was only maybe 5 or 6 years older than some of them.
There is no doubt that A number of the senior players, when my appointment became public, word got back to me that some of them weren't all that impressed, that they felt that I wasn't experienced enough to manage an inter-county senior team. So we got a squad together and we arranged a meeting. At the end of the meeting that night, those players who were dubious, who were sceptical, who were not terribly happy with the appointment, they were more than happy in regard to what they had heard.
An bhliain dar giún, stúrig Pete and Dún go cléthe ceannis na strathe.
Coming through here, Liam Hayes, well up with the attack, David Beggy. Oh, it's a crushing shot! A brilliant goal by Beggy!
Agus cé gur chaileadar na cléthe, bhí gnéithe dearafacha ina go dimmerthe.
We were disappointed at losing that game, but we certainly had enough wits and wisdom about us to realise that we were on a learning curve here, and that somewhere down the line, playing against Meath in a national final, even though we lost it, somewhere down the line that would stand us in good stead.
Chred Pete greibh tuile fisiciúlacht a tastáilte an bhuireann agus bé seo an áid chun é dhéanamh.
Yeah, we're here in Kilbrunny Park in Rostrevor, known to locals as the Meadow. And it would have been in the expanses that you see behind me here, where the team would have done a lot of its physical preparation for the 91 campaign. Despite the fact that it was very grueling and very demanding and torturous even, the surroundings, the environment, the beauty of the place always made it easier for the players to give of their best. And I suppose if you're going to try and inflict physical torture on people, if you take them to a beautiful place like this, it just isn't as bad, doesn't seem as bad. But yeah, they've never forgotten this place. When we started the 1991 campaign, our team had a genuine physique about it. These men could meet and hopefully overcome the physical nature of Ulster football as it was at that time.
Bhí Pete agus a éireann olbhanis le hen chúnstaice chur fí rompa a tharú, agus solar thugad ar éigear ard bhacha thug sé galúin dóibh.
I said there are very few guarantees in football, but I'm going to guarantee you this, that if we beat Armagh Sunday, we will contest an Ulster final. I guarantee you that. If we can't beat Armagh Sunday, then for some of the men in our team, their inter-county careers were definitely going to fizzle out. So they knew what was at stake.
Droch le pelle bhí ann, ach bhí an dún sásta gur a cá bhí an bua.
Bailach amachas an clíthe sin bhí gach den rá seo ga ar tar an bailach síos agus ní bheith seans ar bí ag an dún in sin céadbáilta eile níodan dire.
The game was that bad, but that didn't matter. Winning the game was what was important. It was really after that victory that the team took off.
Now go on to meet Donegal in the Ulster final. It's a great run. Must be a goal. It is a brilliant run and a brilliant goal.
Séistóibh a géad chréimhbhile le déimlíon a thuairt leo, bhuaig an dún go bóg ar uaisleán na pelle Ciarí ag gluthe le cheannis na hÉireann.
As Whitman is through in the clear. The shot. It's a goal. Down reach the All-Ireland final.
Agus cluthe ceannis na hÉireann stristecha, ba éisiom láran is siad an dún don go déile de chuige ola. Agus níos sa felle bháin a brathach an tardú menaman.
Nuair a win an dún cluthe ceannas ní déag nó a héan amach, bhí an cúige ar fad tíobh hirdóibh. Well, beidir seachas drambog a gundaard wacha bel dorslo.
We certainly were aware that the whole of the province was behind us, because here was 1991 with maybe the political climate looking a wee bit better and a wee bit more hopeful and maybe light at the end of the tunnel. No matter how difficult something might seem, great things can be achieved, be it on the football field, or be it off the football field, or be it politically. So we were conscious of that, but we didn't make a big issue of it because that was going to stretch players too far.
Bhí Pete inis sé dírig ahris i dhéanamh ar Loachra Gael agus bachóirí takeíocht lán an chuige. An méidir sin ná an dóchas a láimh seáil áfach.
I can honestly say with hand on heart that we were going into that game to win it, not hoping to win it, but expecting to win it.
Against Brendan McKernan. Still Flynn coming looking for the second point. After it.
We started the game nervously. We did. Meath scored a couple of early points.
Billing touches it down to Stafford. It was anything but a flowing game of football in the opening half.
Pete went to town on us at half-time for the I suppose, the lacklustre performance of the first half. So we had a real focus going out in the second half.
Did he have to score in this game? Now's his chance. Then inside to Greg Blaney. Nicky Linden has got the opportunity and Barry Green.
I remember when Barry Green pounded the ball into the net, and I glanced at my watch, and there was still like 20 minutes to go in the game, and I said, "Jeez, I wish this game was over. I wish it was over," because I knew that there was going to be a kick from Meath. But it was then really that we were able to do what other teams that year hadn't been able to do. We were able to withstand that Meath pressure. We were able to play our way out of trouble and to hold on and to win the game.
And it's all over, and Down have won the All-Ireland. Down
It's kind of a mad 10-15 minutes. The crowd on the field, and they've been lifted up on people's shoulders and carried across. They're not quite sure where they're carrying it, but they're carrying it anyway.
Pete McGrath actually took a team that nobody wanted and turned it around, and in 2 years won All Ireland. Nobody wanted Down.
Given what had been going on in the north of Ireland during the previous, since 1968-69, it maybe had more symbolism. And it was more a positive thing in terms of it was to reaffirm your own community represented and what your own community loved and what your own community was about.
It said that Meath were the team that couldn't be beaten. We were the team that beat the team that couldn't.
Léirí sé donna conde eile gurú an dóianta inanta.
People from Donegal and Derry have said, yes, that Down's success, our success in 91, did inspire them. Because they would look back and say, well, look, if Down can do it, we can do it.
Treistóibh raibh Lloyd alles Braga agus dóchad a húirt an gúigear fad. A meach Peter agus a Irin an ón a gaiideán ár de chimead sa tauchaí. Treistóibh a greibh iléir na chailúnta na ghuire an éidig nóchadó, thug an freasúra céine léas a dóibh an bhliain dar giún. Chailúnt a dúrfií the massacre at the marshes there.
Naturally, left foot player inside. Comes to Dermot Heaney, and he squeezes it in. Great strong run by Heaney, and here it comes for the chance. Dermot Burns had the chance. Not be the one. 1993. Long across, and it's in the net. Most definitely in the net.
Down fans were leaving long before the end of the match, so it was a very, very disappointing outcome for us.
Bhí an Eiffeltas agus Giama agus Naira Peter in Lashin.
Treis an chluithe, Lauer Pete le Loch na Meán.
I said everyone connected with the team, we should be apologising to the Down public for the display of it up today.
And that didn't rest easy with the players.
That really caused serious problems for Pete.
Mar thora a méid a dúirte, dog James McCartan agus Greg Blaney panel an dúin.
Obviously, two of your key men who had been fundamentally important to winning the All-Ireland in 91, were leaving the panel for whatever reasons.
Would you have won an All-Ireland without James and Greg? No, you would not. Not a chance.
It was sometime after Christmas then that Greg and I met. He came to my house in Rostrevor, and we talked the thing through. And Greg said, right, he'd go back and he would think serious about coming back.
The two boys arrived back one
It was a Thursday evening in Hilltown, and really I'd say that was the touch paper at that point for what was to follow, because the players then took it on board from their perspective to actually knuckle down a wee bit more.
In I know if Shachmi in the three score dish, couldn't Pete Trailer Henley really hool snish to a counter all in Rostrauer.
I find it very easy to retain that love of exercise, running, feeling healthy, and feeling that you're taking care of yourself. You know, I think if you're able to have a regimen where you're training every day, then it gives structure to your day. It gives purpose. You can build your whole schedule around that. Exercise and fitness and keeping in shape would be a very, very central, a very important part of my routine from one end of the week to the other. When you're looking after teams, getting out on your own for an hour and a half for a run, it does give you time to look at things objectively. It does give you the opportunity to look at the bigger picture, and many an issue has been decided in my own mind over the course of a run.
Maar ik heb na hem earlier graven trainer al cruig en neidig nog heen. Wie she inhoud na laughingine a good brother media in there and neidig nog a
The mental toughness that was needed in 1994 to prevail in that campaign, that was largely built on the work that the team did in the mountains here.
I think that really galvanised the group. Because by Jesus we suffered. It's a beautiful part of the world, absolutely beautiful part of the world. Not when you're looking at it with your hands on your knees, you know, and you're trying not to throw up behind trees.
For about 20 years I never went near the place. I used to shiver and shake and nearly vomit if you drove past it.
We felt that we needed really to toughen the boys in the sense that if they were going to suffer on the mountain, then they weren't going to let that go to waste whenever they hit Celtic Park. On the 29th of May, that was going to be Redemption Day.
Our reputations were definitely on the line, big time. Pete's reputation was on the line.
Tresna grasala a further ogure an vlin remission, deal to sag a slanu a visa hiana get Pete, agus against the Hemirori, agus Mara Harla, Buch Head and Sky.
Roschar, Maggie Linden, that's how easy it is. And the teams go off Celtic Park at the end of the half.
Done well in the first half, but it's going to be very, very difficult against the Breeze in the second half. Just got to keep it going.
On the overlap with the half back. Fergal McCusker trying to get through. The left foot Jackson in it. It's in the net by McCusker. Still James McCarthy. A perfect example of balance. If this ball goes over the bar, Celtic Park will erupt. It does.
There are so many good players on display that, I mean, no one could have predicted getting into the last 6 minutes who was going to win the game. It could have gone either way. And then we brought on Kieran McCabe. And if there's one man in our squad who you would want in a one-on-one situation, it's Kieran McCabe.
That's a good ball. Into the target man. The chance. The shots. It's in the net. It's brilliantly finished.
Agus Arish, by Pete McGrath, a hug on Dennis Shinner, in fact, Eganam Shin, Lesson Job Shinayani.
It's over. And Celtic Park is a happy hunting ground as far as the down fans are concerned.
The relief afterwards was palpable. I mean, the team really had... If that hadn't happened, we would never have been seen again, I don't think.
The players have worked extremely hard for these last 10 weeks. They knew what was at stake here today, waited a long time for this game, and all credit is due to those players today. Absolutely excellent.
I would say that the match in Celtic Park, in many ways, was actually won in the players' minds on the mountain slopes that summer.
Last night, 24 people were in the bar watching the match. 2 UVF gunmen came in and sprayed them with automatic fire. In a matter of seconds, 5 men lay dead. A 6th died afterwards.
Arniha Riv, Cliha Lac Canish, Mehev, Nijig Noha Cahar, Harla, Tragoich Ufasuk, Alochanillian Condi and Dune, Vrish Gunadori, the new VF Isjach, the Jack Tavanya Biog, Satradwalya, August Kunwari Shid Shesher. agus a más na marv, the Adrian Rogan for Carablinus Trohadish, agus Furhus a corp, Tekage Folla, Duntleha, and Lan Dargion, Idger and Dune, agus Moynihan.
It was decided that the match should go ahead, because if it didn't go ahead, then in a certain way, the association and everyone connected with the game would be, in certain ways, bending a knee to terrorism and to what had happened. We're totally helpless in many ways, but what we can do maybe is to go out and represent them in a positive way. So you try and keep the lid on it, get the job done, win this game, and as far as you can, leave your emotions about what had happened to one side. There was a surreal atmosphere pervading. The match was going on, the crowd were muted, the players were almost going through the motions of playing a match. Even after the match, you didn't know whether you should be, happy, sad, celebrate you're in an All-Ulster final because of what had happened the night before.
We only realised what Down's journey over the summer meant to a lot of people in Lough and for an hour and a bit, they weren't thinking about it. It's not that it was ever away, they just weren't thinking about it all the time.
Nuair a tatu in san nómad doracha sin, uairn de ghlachan séile tíiseach a ta udrasach agus bhfuil ag másig daoine ar hachtamach agus rudig an specialte a dhéanamh le gine iad a chrúir amach as an pol doracha sin agus ar an lá sin rinn Pete McGrath agus rinn an irin sin ar an lá sin agus caithfidh ró sé inta Jack ar dóibh sin a dhéanamh.
Brachgur fado a bhúd an chraibh an éidir noch a héan, agus nuair a bhfuintar an chluthe ceanna semach a ríist an éidir noch a ceair, viidir mearte ar a chrathú nar a bhéan gáil sipiad.
It wasn't the same as 91, which was a joyous occasion. The 91 thing was, I would safely say, there was a huge amount of naivety going into it, and I would almost say there was a lot more joy in it. The 94 was really a mission.
We were absolutely focused and single-minded, and we have to deliver another All-Ireland to vindicate. If vindication was needed for 91, then 94 was going to provide that vindication. Conditions were horrendous on the day. There was rain, there was wind, the pitch cut up quite badly and all the rest of it, and it became a test of endurance.
94 wasn't a pleasant game of football, and the weather was poor, and it was more attritional than free-flowing football.
Forward well. Here's Mickey Linden. Here's a goal chance. James McGrath rolls it in. The Dublin defence ripped apart.
They came back into the game in the second half, off the second half, and yeah, our backs were against the wall to a certain extent, and then the penalty incident came.
Coming down towards Johnny Barr. First touch. Released outside here. Dessie Farrell trying to swing. It's a penalty. Had to be. Dessie Farrell taken down up on Hill 16. They believe there's still time and still hope.
The thing I'll say about Neil, he didn't miss a penalty. Neil will tell you this, Neil saved that penalty.
Charlie scored against Kildare already in the championship from a penalty. And this one has been stopped. And he's put it wide. The gods did not smile at him.
That really, you could say, was the pivotal moment in the game, in the sense that we were still 3 points ahead. Conditions were getting worse by the minute. It was going to be more difficult for Dublin to claw back a lead.
Tense, nervous minutes for Pete McGrath and the selectors. And it's all over. Down are the All-Ireland champions from 1994. And their record in finals is unblemished.
We've been there before in 91, and we were able to maybe just enjoy it that bit more, savour it that bit more as the summer went on, and maybe to an extent made 94 even more enjoyable than 91.
And DJ Kane is the happiest man in Ireland right now, and certainly the proudest. Down are the champions once again.
Chuireann bua glunder bhaintear an dúin agus bhaintear an tuaisceart fad. Agus ba chomhair chun cineacha eile a chinasú.
Maybe, I don't know. Our success in 94 and the buzz that created and the sense of anticipation and the sense of unity and the sense of confidence to give people, that those things just may have lifted people in positions, in key positions. Maybe those things resonated in a positive way to make even a marginal difference in getting something over the line that I say that was infinitely more important than football.